Anneliese Michel was born on September 21st, 1952 in Leibelfing, Bavaria. From an early age, she was known to be deeply religious, attending Mass twice a week with her family. But beneath this devout upbringing, something sinister began to surface. At 16, Anneliese had her first seizure. She was diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy, a condition known to cause seizures, memory disturbances, and even hallucinations. Yet, this was only the beginning. Despite being treated with medication, her condition worsened. She began to experience depression, hearing voices that whispered she was damned, that she would rot in hell. These weren't just figments of her imagination, they were all-consuming. She could no longer bear the sight of religious objects. Crosses burned her eyes, and holy water seared her skin. By the age of 20, Anneliese and her family were desperate. After years of psychiatric treatment failed to alleviate her symptoms, they began to believe that her suffering wasn't due to medical causes, but was supernatural ones. Her family, convinced she was possessed by demons, turned to the Catholic Church for help. Initially, the church rejected their plea for an exorcism, urging the family to continue with the medical treatment. But with Anneliese's condition getting worse, two priests, Father Ernst Alt and Father Arnold Renz, were finally granted permission by the local bishop to perform the exorcism in September 1975. This would mark the beginning of a tragic journey that would see 67 grueling exorcisms performed over the next 10 months. During these sessions, Anneliese spoke of demons, Lucifer, Cain, Judas, even Hitler, claiming they controlled her body. But one name stood out from the rest, sending chills through those present. Valentin Fleischmann. Fleischmann was a 16th century priest who had been excommunicated from the Catholic Church for committing heinous crimes, including assault and even murder. During their exorcism, Anneliese identified him as one of the leading entities possessing her. The details she provided about his life were disturbingly accurate, facts that were not widely known or accessible to the public at that time. During the exorcisms, Father Alt and Father Renz recorded over 40 audio tapes documenting the chilling sessions. In these recordings, Anneliese's voice would change dramatically, speaking in guttural tones and in multiple distinct voices, sometimes arguing amongst themselves. You can look these up, but be warned, they are extremely disturbing. But her torment wasn't limited to voices and physical agony. Anneliese reported seeing grotesque faces, horrific, demonic faces that would appear before her, taunting her day and night. She described satanic images, distorted creatures, their eyes burning into her. These terrifying visions consumed her, blurring the line between reality and the nightmarish world she believed that she was trapped in. As the sessions continued, Anneliese's behaviour grew more extreme by the day. Despite weighing 80 pounds at the time, Anneliese exhibited extraordinary strength, throwing her sister across the room as if possessed by a force far greater than herself. She ate bugs, licked her own urine off the floor, and she also began violently banging her head against the walls. One of the most harrowing aspects of her whole condition was that she refused to eat. For days, weeks, and ultimately months, Anneliese would neither eat nor drink, claiming that the demons inside her wouldn't allow it. She believed that she was being forced to starve. Despite her parents' pleas and the priest's efforts, her physical condition massively deteriorated. Her body withered away, and she became a shadow of her former self. And then, on July 1st, 1976, Anneliese Michel passed away. The cause, malnutrition and dehydration. After almost a year of starvation and physical torment, Anneliese died weighing 30 kilograms. The autopsy report was clear. She died from neglect, but in the eyes of her parents and the priests, they had simply fulfilled her request. Anneliese had asked them to stop consulting doctors. Perhaps one of the most heartbreaking aspects of this case was her unwavering belief that she needed to suffer. She saw herself as a martyr, destined to endure torment, to atone for the sins of others, particularly wayward priests she believed had strayed from their faith. This belief led her to reject medical treatment, convinced that only through suffering could she fulfill her divine purpose. In 1978, a trial was held, marking the first time in history that a case of alleged demonic possession was brought to court. Anneliese's parents and the two priests, Father Ernst Alt and Father Renz, were charged with negligent homicide. The defence argued that their actions were protected under religious freedom, citing Anneliese's unwavering belief in her possession and the support of the Church, which had sanctioned the exorcism. Despite these arguments, medical experts testified that Anneliese had suffered from severe mental illness and epilepsy, the conditions that had been improperly treated. They were sentenced to 6 months in prison, later reduced to probation. This trial garnered widespread media attention, sparking global debate on the intersection of religion, law and mental health. It also raised crucial questions about the boundary between religious freedom and legal responsibility, forever altering how exorcisms were viewed in the Catholic Church and in the public eye. Years after Anneliese's death, the debate continues to divide and captivate the public. Was she truly possessed, or was she a victim of a grave medical misjudgment? Her case will remain always a disturbing intersection of faith, mental illness, and human suffering. While some believe her case was the result of demonic forces, others argue that it was just a tragic misdiagnosis, exacerbated by deep-seated religious beliefs. Many in the medical community, including neurologists and psychologists, have long argued that Anneliese was suffering from severe, untreated mental illnesses. Doctors diagnosed her with temporal lobe epilepsy, a condition that can cause seizures, hallucinations, and auditory disturbances, symptoms that align with her experiences of hearing voices and seeing disturbing visions. Temporal lobe epilepsy has also been linked to religious experiences and hyper-religiosity, which might explain her intense religious devotion and belief that she was possessed by demons. Additionally, her behaviour such as self-harm and refusal to eat and her drastic weight loss can be understood through the lens of psychosis or severe schizophrenia. During psychotic episodes, it is common for individuals to experience hallucinations, delusions, and feelings of persecution. The visual hallucinations that she described, grotesque, demonic faces, could have been manifestations of a psychotic disorder. Critics of the exorcism argue that if Anneliese had received the appropriate medical care, consistent psychiatric treatment and antipsychotic medicine, her life might have been saved. However, for many believers in the paranormal world, and for those who knew Anneliese, the medical explanation does not fully account for the severity and the specifics of their experiences. They argue that the eerie details of her case point towards something far more supernatural. One of the most convincing parts of this case is the recordings. In these tapes, Anneliese is heard speaking in deep guttural tones, adopting distinct voices and personalities, far removed from her own. But what is more unsettling is that the voices often argued with each other, and that defies common explanations of dissociative disorders or psychosis, where typically one personality or voice is dominant at any given time. Another perplexing element is her ability to speak in languages she had absolutely no knowledge of, including Latin and other ancient tongues. Those present during the exorcisms reported that Anneliese would sometimes use these languages only during the possession. Knowledge of these unknown languages has been cited as evidence by believers. Furthermore, her extraordinary physical strength during the possession adds to the mystery, reportedly throwing her sister across the room and exhibiting great physical strength. Skeptics of the medical diagnosis point out that such extreme physical feats are difficult to explain through mental illness alone. And then there is the knowledge of Valentine Fleischmann, the detailed knowledge that she exhibited about his life, despite him being a relatively obscure historical figure raises questions. How could she have known such specifics, particularly during a time where such information was not readily available or accessible? Believers in the supernatural suggest only external force could have imparted this information to her. Years after her death, the Catholic Church officially retracted its stance, admitting that Anneliese was not possessed. For some, this retraction stands as proof that the Catholic Church acknowledged a grievous error. However, for others, the retraction was merely an attempt to avoid further controversy after the highly publicised trial. The Church's retraction did little to settle the debate. Those who believe in possession continue to point to the recordings, her violent outbursts, her knowledge of ancient languages, and her seemingly supernatural strength is undeniable proof of demonic interference. For them, Anneliese's suffering was a tragic but necessary martyrdom, a battle between good and evil that claimed her life, but demonstrated the power of faith. Those on the side of science, however, see this case as a harrowing example of how dangerous it can be to mistake mental illness for possession. They argue that Anneliese's death could have been avoided if she had received the proper psychiatric care. The case should serve as the reminder of the importance of medical intervention over superstition. Today, Anneliese Michel's story serves as both a cautionary tale and a point of fascination. Her gravesite remains a pilgrimage site, visited by those who believe she was a martyr, the woman who suffered for the sins of others. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and if you find this story as haunting as I did, don't forget to subscribe to support the channel and hit that notification bell for more chilling true stories like this. Thanks for watching.